Have you memorized your lines? Do you remember where you're supposed to stand? Can you take this scene from the top?
Whoa, easy. Whoa, you're really giving me the third degree, aren't you? Wait. In American English, giving someone the third degree is an idiom used to describe especially harsh or incessant questioning. But where does that term actually come from? The exact origin of the third degree is a bit murky. Now, some etymologists trace the phrase back to Freemasonry, but by the early 20th century, the term had become firmly associated with something entirely different: harsh police interrogation, or more accurately, torture. Now, when you think of the word torture, it might conjure up images of things like Game of Thrones or the Spanish Inquisition or spending time with your in-laws. Contemporary sources had a broader definition, defining the third degree as methods which inflict suffering, physical or mental, upon a person in order to obtain from that person information of a crime. In fact, the most common implementation of the third degree didn't involve physical torture at all, but instead just a line of incessant questioning for hours on end. Regardless, countless examples of physical torture demonstrate that the American police were not always so constrained. In the early 20th century, the press was not shy about reporting on police abuses. Some Americans believed that the third degree was justified, especially if the crime was particularly appalling. For example, after the assassination of President McKinley in 1901, the Buffalo Police Department openly used the third degree on the assassin. And what's crazier is that they received numerous tips from the public with some, shall we say, alarming tips. On the whole, though, popular opinion was highly critical. As early as 1902, newspapers like the New York Times were actively calling for the abolition of the third degree, writing, "Such proceedings cannot be too strongly denounced. They violate every principle of law, reason, humanity, and personal right." In response to the backlash against the third degree, most police departments either denied its existence completely or argued that further regulations would tie their hands during interrogation and lead to a rise in crime. As a national debate raged around the country in the early 20th century, President Herbert Hoover established a commission to investigate the prevalence of the third degree throughout the country. The result was the Wickersham Report, which triggered a storm of reaction when it was published in 1931. The Wickersham Report not only uncovered documented examples of the third degree in numerous American states, but it also concluded that for every documented case of the third degree that finds a place in the official reports, there are many hundreds and probably thousands of instances of the use of the third degree. In short, the report revealed to Americans that the third degree was not just the brutal exception, it was the rule. Although the Wickersham Report found that the third degree was widespread, African American men were disproportionately targeted, especially in the South. Furthermore, the Wickersham Report rejected the argument that the third degree was necessary to reduce crime. In fact, the Wickersham Report found that the third degree actually reduced police efficiency due to false confessions being given under duress. In the wake of the Wickersham Report, public outcry reached a fever pitch. And while police brutality certainly and unfortunately did not disappear, many police departments began pulling back on their use of the third degree. And this shift away from the third degree was actually expedited in 1936 when the Supreme Court ruled that any confessions that were obtained through the use of force could not be counted as evidence in a trial. So with many of their previous interrogation methods now barred by law, police started searching for alternative methods. And they found their answer in a seemingly magical new invention: the lie detector. To learn more about the lie detector, be sure to watch American Experience's brand new film, The Lie Detector.